I'm live. And this time I have the camera on, the audio going. Yeah, so this is a throwing caution to the wind kind of live stream because I'm getting up to little points. I'm going to do little refinements because I can't help it. I should be out doing some grocery shopping now, and I'm going to be doing that real soon. However, I just couldn't resist inviting you in while I do just a little bit of housekeeping here because things are getting really interesting. I'm kind of getting addicted to my work. I like to start at a nice starting point. I've got my 3 traditional screens already going, my full screen terminal editor, but I don't have, my journals loaded in. So I'll do my keyboard, I'll do my script to load all my journals in. They're loaded all into memory sort of at the same time, plus some programming files that I do, like my blogging system. I have so many interesting tricks coming up, especially now that OpenAI is in the picture and I can do API integrations. Whew, such interesting stuff coming up. But just the housekeeping. I'm working on this new repo called Moz, which you can find in GitHub now with this terrible README. And test.ipynb no longer gets to the spirit of what this is about. You can see it's just these notebooks render out really nice into GitHub preview. So I should take advantage of that, and you can start to see how a notebook is different than a .py file. So many people are going to go VS Code can run Jupyter notebooks. Truth is, this is just a very different environment that's more free and open source, more able to intermix documentation and live interactive widgets and all kinds of stuff. It's a legit framework platform, which has made me throw out all other framework platforms like Ruby on Rails and that kind of stuff in favor of just living in Jupyter Lab, in my case, with Python, right? So the first thing that has to change is that this test file no longer should be a test file. And when you do that, it's kind of best to rename things with Git, so you keep your gets renamed. And if I were to do a Git status, you'll see the rename. It is known by and tracked by Git, so I can do a Git commit, renamed test to links API. Git push. You got this little before and after that causes, right? There's the previous test.ipynb is now the links API.ipynb. Now it's time to take care of this hello world stuff a bit. Maybe I'll put a graphic in here just to demonstrate you can do local graphics. And I will take a look at who's out there. Maybe there's people joining me, maybe not. I am actually streaming, and I do believe my audio's going and the works. Yeah, okay, good. This is a good place to be, good starting point. So when I do that, I like to break the streaming window off to way over here, for example. I can check on it from time to time, but I will adjust the README, right? This README, hello world, it doesn't need to be like that now. So I can vim README. This long load time for NeoVim is new. It never used to take that long. I think it's because I have the OpenAI integration. So it should actually be available here as well. So we will call this the Moz Links API. What is this? It is documentation, but it's exploration. And this is an exploration of the Moz Links API. I'll take that. Following 5 metrics. I don't think that makes sense for me. API reference. I think that was the, I think it's just this. We need to double check. This is the link we'll use. Whatever was written there. This is a simple exploration of that setup. This is the first in a series of Python of Jupyter notebooks. That I will Jupyter notebooks using Moz resources. It should work on any notebook hosting platform, such as Google Colab or Azure Notebook. However, we will soon be doing browser automation, which will require a local Linux-based environment. Okay, I guess I'll link that. It's worth doing. And I think that's it. I need to test it. I always forget like the trailing slashes. I think I made it so that it works without the trailing slash. That's the way it should be. This is the drink me script. Did somebody say drink me? Yes, I'll have to make this a little bit nicer. I don't think it entices them in all that well. After a sort of a meta timeout delay, it brings you to the script itself. That gives the instructions. So this is basically just sort of kicking the tires, getting it ready. Now you can see I didn't end it well. There is that. That ends it correctly. Let's see what the AI suggests. Usage. Okay. Load the notebook into your notebook hosting platform, then run the cells. That's it. Let's see what the yeah, that's kind of it. I don't need to get into all the contributing yet. That's plenty for like just testing, you know, show you a before and after. Git status, git diff, you know, sometimes you check your stuff ahead of time that all looks correct. Git commit, updated readme, git push. And because this is a just a readme on the Git site, it doesn't have that same whole waiting for it to render time requirement. I thought I had that in the history somewhere, so let's just go back to, oh, there it is. It was my first tab, so I just do a refresh there. This is a simpler exploration of the Moz Links API setup. usage. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I probably could say something a little bit better there, but this at least gets a README in there that's a little more sensible. It's part of the housekeeping I wanted to do. There's a few more housekeeping points that I'm about to do. I'll see if anyone's here, if anyone's typing. Oh, hey, Benjamin. I guess I'll break this out and minimize that. Drop this where I'll be able to see you. I guess I'll do it where I'm typing. So it'll probably be a journal thing. Boom, boom. Oh, look, I got that message about the read only. And that is on, an unexpected one. Start a new journal. Hello world. It's April 1st. Don't believe anything you read today. And let's see, I guess how do I best accomplish this? Probably like that. And look, it sized it exactly right. I like that. Oh, it's bound together for the... No, it's not. Yeah, it is. It's bound together for the first time with me experimenting with that spacing. That got it right. I have to remember whatever that magic combination was that got the spacing right. So for anyone who hasn't been following along, I'm now on NeoVim. And I'm now on NeoVim instead of Vim, so that I get the OpenAI GitHub Copilot integration. See? I'm also using the Mech Vibes software from SourceForge to get some clicky sounds as I type. So what other housekeeping? So that's clean notebooks, but now I can load this back in. It'd be nice to have like a little graphic of maybe Roger the robot or something. I think I'll do that, you know, make it look more friendly and stuff, right? And use text wrap so that it flows around my graphics. I can have it inline left or inline right. So let's find little Roger. It's the Moz Roger. And we'll find one that'll look good against that background. I would go right here. A nice round format could look really nice. I like that. Now, it doesn't have the white background or the transparent background that I would have preferred. But I guess we'll go with it anyway. We'll visit the site, Moz itself, and they're using it almost exactly the way I plan on using it, right? But I don't want to get that small version, so it's really best to do it from here. Just save it right from there. Save image as, and I can put it into that repo directly. Now I'll probably work on that transparent background later, but it's nice to just do it real quick here. Moz Roger robot. And when I do this, I'm going to put it in images. Oh, this would put it on my website proper. That's not what I want. It's really here and Moz like I was planning, right? So it's the Moz Roger robot save, all right? And so now to make it show up in the API documentation right on the GitHub site. So the idea here is to get that to show right in here. And to do that, we just do a little inline link now. That is the README. Oh, really? Wow, have you fooled around with the config language at all? Nope. I know it's Lua. I mean, I know there's another whole language in here that it's no longer Vim script at all. And a lot of people will probably be interested in the fact that, you know, that this is NeoVim and not Vim, considering, you know, my whole spiel about Linux, Python, Vim, and Git. So NeoVim is honorary Vim. I mean, it's a fork of the code base, and I'm only using it so that I can get the OpenAI integration. I can't be kind of left out in the cold while that's going on. Vim README again. Now there's a pattern here I'd like to use that I use on my main website that gets stuff to go in line. So first I'm going to just put the Roger robot reference there, but then I'm going to go over to where I do my journals in different Vim buffers, and I'll jump to one that I know is there, bspace index, which is the home page of my Mike Levin site. And in there I have all these inline left and inline right things going on, like these here. And in fact, it's going to be too long to copy. They're in separate terminal windows. Otherwise, I could copy it directly between the instances using the internal buffers. But when they're in separate terminals, you have to go through the operating system copy buffer. And so that's what that looks like. And that'll be a line left sort of thing. And it's not going to be in that whole assets thing. It's going to be right in the kind of root directory. And I have no idea how well that's going to work on the Git site, GitHub site. But that should be a, you know, an align left with some nice padding, with a size being determined by the visual width of the screen, and git add ls git add git status git commits, added a graphic to README, and we'll see how that works. It's fun adding graphics to the READMEs on GitHub. It feels like something that almost you shouldn't be able to do. And lo and behold, it didn't take. I didn't push. Pushing helps. So it didn't do the align left that I had hoped, and also the color stuff is, well, it's aligning left. It's not doing the wrapping as I had hoped. And also the background color really is an issue. I'm going to have to turn that into a PNG, make a transparent background. But let's see why that isn't in the same paragraph as the README. I got something wrong, like in how that goes in line. Yeah, but I think I got it right. It's probably something about how GitHub renders it, so I'm going to have to look. Yeah, all right. So if you have any questions, ask me. I'm actually talking now on this silly thing instead of just doing the typing. People are coming and going, so yeah. All right. Let's fix that. Roger graphic. See why it's too far to the left. Oh, it's probably CSS stuff. Generic image stuff, because I don't have a class or anything, right? With style. So I'm probably going to have to add something into the style that it's getting from my site's default CSS. So I can take a look at that. cd hide /my site /assets /css vim styles.css and search for image. Vertical align middle, max width 100, height auto, order radius. It doesn't look like any of those are the things that are doing it, but that's the only ones in there. So max width, height auto, order radius. One of the things you can do is when it's not turning out right, you can actually use the inspect tool. Now you can futz around and see why it's that way. And I can see already, there's the image, and the image is getting wrapped in its own paragraph tag. That's certainly being inserted by GitHub. That's not what I intended. That's not the tags I put in there. So we can try and control and override that by making it look like it's part of the same paragraph. And unfortunately, it's not going to look pretty here, but sticking it right on the same line is a way to do that. Allow it to do its own wrapping, as ugly as that looks, but that'll certainly imply it all being in one paragraph in a way that it wasn't before. So getting Roger in line. Git push. I have no idea how fast that kind of stuff is going to be, but there it is. It's actually better. Still not great. Let's get that to flow around it properly. And look at this, it does not trigger off this. Oh, there it goes. The search interface happens a few moments after it displays. It's so interesting. This timing is of interest to me because I do believe that a actual search is so much more expensive computationally than a normal search. Still now, it might change in the future, but I think that's the case. So CSS property float, right? So where are they sticking float in? Float right, float left. So I guess I'll try that. It's just one of those style attributes. It's in the parent div, image source. So it's the parent div that does that. It's actually kind of interesting. because I am not specifying the parent div here. I guess we can. I'm not thrilled about doing it this way, but it's a nice experiment. You know, these are these GitHub readmes, and sometimes you chase the rabbit, and you're chasing the wrong rabbit down the wrong rabbit hole, and it's really not worth it. So if this doesn't work, I'll back off. Formatting, readme, git push. Yeah, not exactly what I was hoping for. So again, I'll work on that later. This is not so urgent, but it certainly is going to work as a reminder to tell me that that's something that I want to do. Anyone else here? Well, if you want to ask me stuff, ask me, because I'm going to very soon be wrapping this up. There's not that much housekeeping that I want to do. A better readme, I guess I'll list it. Renaming files, better readme. I guess I want to put files in their location. Get rid of clutter. This is something that I didn't want to do when I first made these files, because I wanted you to see, say, this database file kind of pop up and appear, but it's better to have these used from locations. So when we create our configuration variables, one of them is going to be I'm going to put the database in there, and I'll probably hide the Moz creds file that has my API stuff in there that was given out by the Moz interface, so that I can connect, right? It's done somewhere around here where the credentials are grabbed. Yeah, this is it. I grabbed the credentials out of the file there. So this can be cleaner by putting the database file somewhere, and that's going to be a recurring thing. There's going to be lots of databases as we do this, so I'll just make a databases directory in there. And I like to do that kind of thing with the command line, because I can add it to GitHub repo right away. So I can mkdir databases, and then I can git add databases, and then I can git move Moz, no, not that. There's a database that's sitting there. The .db file, Moz links api.db. Moz links api.db into databases with this trailing slash, and that just drops it in there. Oh yeah, okay, it's not under version control, so you don't do a git move, you just do a plain old move, because that file is not under version control. Git can't move things that it's not tracking on its own. That file now suddenly disappears from here and is now inside that file there. And that means everywhere where I refer to it, I need databases in there, and I can hardwire that for now. Sometimes it's nice to have kind of a control variable for that, but when it's written in, I write it in here, databases slash, and then I read it out again here. 3 different times. So these should run just the way it used to, and in fact I only need the imports, and now I can read the data that has been cached local and show the data that was fetched with the API, or can I? For key in database, preprint, pprint. Oh yeah, well, it helps to have the trailing slash, and it created the file there because I missed the trailing slash, so we just delete that. And as you can see, there's no file locks on these things. That's just like a wonderful aspect of this. Databases slash. It might be a little too long and verbose, but it works, and you know, it's going to be cleaner. But that's just too long to look at, isn't it? DBS looks much cleaner, doesn't it? So let's change it to that. I'll thank myself in the future, and when it's written out originally. Yeah, I got it where it's written out as well. So this is writing it out, and this is reading it. That's some of the housekeeping I can do, labeling this stuff. But for right now, I am going to, oh, yeah, all I have to do is rename the folder. Move databases to DBs. And you can see, yeah, it's just nicer. It's cleaner to read. It's narrower in the columns here. And let's see, general resources like the Moz Roger and the creds are kind of, you know, littering this up. So let's follow the convention that, I don't know, Jekyll, I guess, is making so popular. So we mkdir assets. And then we can git move Moz creds. Oh, the Roger, that's fine. We want to put Roger in there. Putting the trailing slash is always a nice prevention and just precaution, knowing that as you move it, if you're moving it to a directory, it knows it's going to be inside the directory. Otherwise, you could, you know, create a new file or something. So git move. Oh, and the credentials is not tracked by git, so it's just move Moz creds into assets as well. And that means that in our repo where we read the creds, we just put the word assets there. You can make sure it runs. If it didn't work, you know, that would have failed. But look at how much cleaner it's becoming around here. You just keep the stuff out here that you want users to look at in the course of doing these experiments. Now, of course, assets and DBs stays at the top, but that's okay. It's better than continual littering being created down here. Now we need to update the reference in the README. Roger is inside a directory called assets. And is that it? Yeah, the loading of the credentials, the reference to the image file, git status. Yeah, and modified these two things, renamed Roger to a new location. Anything else? I don't think so. Git commit, sorting into folders. Git push, and now the main thing is to make sure that Roger still displays on the README. And he does. Putting it into the subfolder did not stop it. I guess we can It used to be properties, now it's inspect. Do we need the whole inspect thing? I guess it's fine. But you can see there's the directory for assets written right into there. So it's working as intended. Not as pretty as I want, but it's certainly a good cleanup spot to begin. Anyone else? Yeah, I mean, people coming and going. It's interesting how it gets to negative viewers, but we have 2 concurrent viewers currently, so I just keep going. I mean, you know, when there's people here, it's definitely me to keep going, but I already did the house cleaning that I intended. Let's see, think. I got some more housekeeping. Like, I want to make sure that I back up my new vimrc location. So that's okay. I guess I want them out of memory while I make this new change. One of the changes being clear cd / user local sbin. This is where we keep stuff like the all. I only have 2 of these custom, you know, script binaries. I mean, they're script files that get treated like global commands by the system. So you have to sudo vim. Now, when I do vim, it's now neovim because of an alias I did. All, and I look for, instead of the vimrc as one of the miscellaneous files I'm going to be editing, it's now that new location, which is here. But that's just ~/ for that. And from there, it's init.vim. All right. So that means my new vimrc, my init.vim, is the one that will be run when I do my all program here. Let's test that. Reversing the process. Now, the one thing that could be a monkey wrench in this is how I pull down the latest because of working from different machines. So I'll see what actually happens, because even there is already up to date. All right, now I should be able to, oh, I hit A for abort. Darn it. Sorry, I don't mean to make you sit through all that. Let's see, are there still people here? Yeah, they come and go. This is only slightly less boring than the ones where I don't talk at all. And just let you hear the clicking of the keyboard, which I had to do with special software, because if I let you hear my actual clicking, you hear the background noise, and then you hear the bathtub or whatever else is in the background that you don't need to know I'm blogging in the tub. All right, so I want to edit anyway. I'll clean up whatever file was causing that error, and then I want to go B space init, and there it is. I can jump there, and that's the one that's loaded in memory. I guess that's the thing that's doing it. That's what was causing the problem. So if I go, if I edit anyway, and then I go back to B1, and then I go back to B init, there's no error anymore, and now I'm editing the new. It's no longer vimrc. Let's get this right. I try and do something cute at the top. The double quote is the comment thing in VimScript. I guess this is really VimScript still. So let's make it real clear. The way we do this is we exclamation point space figlet space, and this is the init.vim, vim.init, init.vim. And there's our figlet. And then we just put the double quote in front of it. Now it's a comment. What was once vimrc is now me, init.vim. Init.vim. All right. And to answer Benjamin, he was asking about a new thing. It's time to look into Lua versus VimScript. All right, and now when I quit, this should actually be put everywhere, and I can actually check this. Do I still have the all loaded? Yeah, here's the all. So that's where the init.vim is loaded into memory, but now there's some follow-up procedures where I need to make sure whatever is copied into places, right? This is it. There's some hardwired paths. My all file isn't going to work for everybody, but this is that home username is the equivalent of ~/. So from there, it's going into .config, and from there it's going to init.vim, and that is going to copy it into, oh, that's the one that puts it in location as the actual used one. Huh. Yeah, I'm being a little premature there. That's not exactly what I want to do. I want to find another occurrence of it where it gets backed up. That's the repo. It's still going to go into my Vim repo. I'm not going to make new repos for any of this. I guess it's after I quit as the follow-up stuff was. Let's look for all the occurrences of .vimrc, the one I was working on. And that's it. That's the only other occurrence now. I guess I had it right. And this is after you edit your journals and then you quit. And this copies things into locations before all the commits and stuff. So yeah, this is actually it. Pushing repos. I want to push a file into a location, whereas this is pushing it from my live vimrc location. That is putting it into the same location. I don't think this is doing what I thought it was doing. Well, I've got a new use for it. I am going to essentially do what I was doing before. This one can be commented out. It has no more relevance. And we are copying what was being edited in the live location. So this is actually true. .config, I had that part right. Init.vim, vim.init, init.vim. And that is going to be copied to a repo location so that it gets picked up down here. for location in locations, pushing Vim to GitHub. Yeah, that's going to be the one that does it. So we're copying a file, and this I must have had wrong in the past. I don't. Okay. That's my Windows path. Interesting, interesting. That was so that my Windows side of Vim shared the same vimrc, because that's a different it's a different home location. That's so interesting, but I'm not using NeoVim on the Windows side, so the functionality that I thought I was taking care of here is not actually the same thing. So this I just want to put into the repo location, right? So it's almost the same thing here. Let's find the repo path. I'm sure I have a repo path. Path to journals, repo. I'm just going to do it with hardwired paths for now. There's more elegant ways to do it, but it's this. And then it's repos, and then it's Vim. I think I keep it at that top level. Yeah, I do. I keep it at that top level, and I guess I will look for a before and after. So cd ~repos/vim ls ls-la. There's currently no init.vim in there, but this should put it in there when it's done, when I exit out of my journals, right? So it's copying it into that location, so it'll keep the same file name, home, username, repos, Vim. And so when this is run, so I should quit out of my journal. It's not going to actually do it on this quit, because it's still running the script. Literally, when I run all, that stays running in the background the whole time while I'm editing journals, so that when I exit out of it, this follow-up procedure happens here, which actually takes a little while because it has to commit and push my big repo. It also costs me a render on the publishing side, but such is life. I feel like I'm just rambling now, but that's the cost of these live streams, you know. I already don't edit my videos, but this is not editing my video. No option of just you know, canning the video and reshooting it again, which I often do. It's a practical alternative to editing. It gives you more practice, in fact. Sometimes you lose wonderful takes. So as painful as it is, after that's done, oh, there we go, I got some J's in there. It's kind of good to have those errors every once in a while, because it shows you that you're editing the right files. You're doing what you think you're doing. And there is, in fact, a before and after here, but I got to go all the way in to editing my files and then exit. And on the exit, it's going to move the new init.vim into the right location, and that means it will be perpetually backed up every time I do my journal editing procedure. And that gives me that freedom now. So what I'm doing, what all this is about, is as I'm editing all my journals here in this everything loaded all at once approach here, which again, I have something loaded. It's this one here. So I can just quit out of this. No, that's the all file. That's not loaded now. That one is, I'll have to figure out later. Anyway, oh, I hit A for abort. Sorry, boy. I am so sorry to make you sit through all of that. Just to sit through it along again. I got to do some stuff with the slice and dice, the site blogging stuff, because now with OpenAI, I am going to be able to automatically put descriptions in for all my blog posts. Do clustering. It's all projects coming. Shaping the site artistically. All right. So I edit anyway. All right. I jump to the init file. I assure myself it's actually there. And now when I quit, it's always 2 quits because of multiple files loaded. Now it's going to go do its thing, but as it's doing its thing, it will also drop a file in here called init.vim. I believe it should. Takes a while to get through everything. Yeah. Done. All right, now let's see. Still no. All right. So it's inside a try, so it very well could fail without me knowing it. But I guess the main thing is I'm going to try that command manually now. What we're doing is from the home location, conceptually, I am doing a copy of tilde/.config/init.vim vim/init. Alright, so it's path stuff. So cd tilde/config ls cd nvim ls. Yeah, I just got the path wrong in the all command. I'm not going to make you sit through it again, but I am going to fix it because that needs to be fixed. nvim slash. I should be able to use most of this in the command I'm working on here. So clear cp tilde/that, and then I'm putting it in tilde/repos/vim, and that's the command now that puts it in location. So this .config nvim init.vim has to match this .config nvim init.vim, and then here home username repos/vim. Inside of there, I'm quite confident that that is going to work. I'm not even going to test it here in front. I'll just, if it doesn't work later, then I will fix it on my own. But I do want to go back into the all here because I'll continue doing my notes. And that's a third piece of cleanup I was doing. Is there any more cleanup that I really want to do? That gets some good stuff there. README, clean notebooks, links API. Now I have two different sort of conventions going on here now, with and without the underscore. See that? Links API.ipymb, it just blends everything together, where I should be doing some visual differentiating here. And yeah, I think I believe in that enough that I'll actually go ahead and do that. So save the output. I'm going to keep that clean notebooks because I do need that. But now we want to get the links API out of memory because I'm about to do some, well, change the file name again on it. And when you change the file name, you want to get permission from Git to do that because it's maintained in the Git management system. So that's cd/repos/moz git move links API to links underscore API.ipymb. That's just going to look prettier in the repo. Oh, git move. Now here it's just going to make a better visual system going on here. In a moment when it picks up the change. There it is, see? Clean notebooks, links API. Yeah, that's going in the direction I want this to go. We do a clean notebooks to make sure none of the metadata gets in, and then we push those latest changes up. Git commit, more cleanup, git push, and on the GitHub repo it is that much more updated, right? There's the underscore, you can see that there. And I'll do some cleanup here. I know it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but nothing better for it to do than something slightly out of kilter that you're going to see again and go, oh, I got to fix that. The world around you is your checklist, right? There's a lot to be said for checklists, but there's even more to be said by rigging your environment so that you encounter things again and you're compelled to go take care of them. All right. And it's enough for this live streaming session. This stuff will just go on forever. Hopefully at an accelerated pace now, because I have a starting point. I've got my foot in the door. I've got sort of a wedge from which I'm going to push forward and expand my work. And I'm really quite proud and pumped over this one here because of how much it does in introducing you to the APIs, what they do, documenting what they do and hitting each one, using a database thing so that you're not hitting them repeatedly. And I definitely have to put more documentation around here. The last thing I actually documented was defining the function, which really only belongs with this. This has a lot of database stuff going on that really should be documented. Let me go ahead and do that. Is anyone there? I guess I make my decisions based on whether people are still hanging out here. Yeah, it wavers, it goes up and down. Got one person. I'm going to do this documentation here now just for you, and then I'll get on with Monday. Right. It's amazing how similar it looks right on the GitHub site, right? This is in the web browser here. How similar that looks to actually in Jupyter, right? So this is it in Jupyter. I'll bring that one up here. This is how it looks in Jupyter, and this is how it looks on the Git site in night mode. So almost identical, right? It's amazing. All right, so we define the function, but now we conditionally hit the API for each endpoint. So we can highlight these block we're interested in, hit the escape key, hit A for above, put our cursor in there, switch it to markdown mode, and then we go hit the API for it's conditionally hit the API. Conditionally hit the API. This steps through each API sub endpoint and checks whether we already fetched the sample data. If not, the API call is executed and the response is stored in a local database file. If you run the block and nothing prints, then you've fetched all the sample data, and you've fetched sample responses, a sample response for each endpoint, right? Boom. But if it's the first time you're running it, it does require your global imports. Points not defined. It requires other stuff that has been set up in here as well. Points. It probably requires quite a bit. Well, that outer loop is not going to actually get to the inner loop, so it doesn't really require the inner loop stuff, but nonetheless, this is the documentation of those endpoints. This is the function being created. Now that's conditionally hitting each endpoint. Now these are doing other things. This is just showing the endpoints again. So what do we have data? Yeah, well, this doesn't show us anything. There's not even a check there. That's highly redundant. For key in database, print key. You know, all that's highly redundant. This one here shows the results. And that is warranting or calling for a markdown. Conditionally hit the API. And this one here is going to be show show the locally stored API responses. I guess that's it, right? All the API calls have already been executed and are sitting on local storage. This steps through the database and shows you the data that has been fetched for each endpoint. Now I guess I should put like a space between these. That's just a little bit more documentation. You can at least see the space. Now I can put some more documentation in here, like which endpoint it is. I guess that's part of the cleaning up. I'll do the exact same prettiness that I did here, which is using H1s. It'll be very reminiscent of what they saw earlier, right? Why not? Isn't that pretty? And why not put the documentation in again too, right? Make it very much like this, just not the request thing for the, because that would make it look too garbagey. If you want to see the sample requests, you can look up here, and this is sample responses. I should label it as sample responses, right? But first we'll print the description, see how that looks. That's pretty nice, right? That could use a space above it though too. No, that's a space below it. There, that's good. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to get familiar with all this stuff. Wow. But this is the immersion, right? This is throwing yourself into it, you know, head first, and really getting to know everything that's available. Now, are these all the same? The title empty. Title empty. That's looking like it. That is not what I want. There's something weird going on there. For key in database. Print. URL metrics. Ah, that's what's going on. See. Let's make sure it's not the same up here. See, this is counting up properly. I just got the wrong words being used in the stepping through, right? So for key in database, see, it's key here. Key is the point. There we go. Anchor text. It's still the wrong thing at the bottom, but we're getting close there. DB, key, pprint, key. Did I put the wrong stuff in there in the first place? This is looking... That might be. Yeah, I probably have something wrong where the API is executing, and I just didn't spot it before. So for endpoint, result equals Moz. DB for that endpoint equals the result that was plugged in. The result is, oh, for endpoint, I still have a point lurking around. That serves me right for changing up language. Jeez. Okay, so when that happens, you can just delete your database. No file locks. SQLite, yay. And execute that again. What isn't it like? Endpoint is not defined. Oh, okay, well, it's like the kernel restarted, so sometimes you gotta... Alright, moment of truth. It's hidden the API for each of these endpoints, right? You can see by the time delay and the fact it's printing stuff out. And I should put like a done at the end. And of course, that second time it's going to go super fast because it's already in there. Now these things should actually be different data for each one, right? Some of them are going to be long, some of them are going to be short, some of them are going to be time series, right? You got a pretty big mix. And that is a good place to leave off. That was a good round of cleaning up. I caught some of my own mistakes, and boy, oh, it only goes up to 12. It should go up to 15. Did it not hit the API correctly for those last few? We can see well, I'm not going to debug that now. This is good. I got a good video. I'm going to save that, and once you save like that, you do your clean notebooks, and then you can do a git diff. Yeah, it looks like about the right amount of stuff. Git commit. Clean up. Git push. And there you can follow along with all my stuff. Git status. You'll see everything's clean. Nothing new to commit. We are still in the GitHub site here. I can go back up to this top level of the repo, and I can just sort of browse down and see that things are as they should be. I can go into here where I just did the recent work and take a look down there, and I can search for point, and I should find no occurrence of point that isn't part of endpoint. Oh, this thing here, I can get rid of that. That's just for I comma point. Okay, there is one case where I do it like that still. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, but I can see that the recent changes are in here. This is where I fixed the lingering occurrences of point to endpoint so that it just makes more sense for endpoint in points. Yeah, all right, whatever. It's good. Good stopping point. You get the point. Points. Cleaning up laws. Links API. Exploration repo. And then I'll probably, this is a very light blog post, but what I do is once I have a URL for this latest live stream I did, I'll just put that live stream in here, and then it puts it in context and makes a lot more sense. So is there anyone out there watching? Yeah, there's still at least one viewer. If anyone wants to say anything, say it now, because I'm about to wrap this one up and go do some food shopping. Anyone? Bueller? Are people chatting with me just not seeing it? No, I'm not making this mistake I did before. This is just not a chatty video. Speak now or hold your peace until the next time I'm streaming.